Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode. In today's episode, I was joined by Third and Long's Oli Hope as we both review Week 16 and preview Week 17 of the 2025 NFL season. Oli discusses his Niners after their win against the Colts on Monday night.
On the 49ers preview, I said that I didn't think Robert Saleh was going to do that well with the defense. And I think I hold my hands up and was totally wrong.
And I discuss a thriller between the Bears and the Packers on Saturday night.
I think Malik Willis, first of all, give him huge credit. I mean, the way he managed to, perform.
Hope you all enjoy.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. It is the last recording before Christmas, and I am as ever your host today, Andy Davis. And due to time constraints, we are doing our Week 16 review and Week 17 preview in the same episode. And with me, I bought the big guns to do it with me. Back on the show is Third and Long's Oli Hope. Oli, great to have you back on.
Well, thanks for having me, Andy. I always love coming on this podcast, and I've got a little 2-for-1 special with a review and a preview. So lucky me. So yeah, as you said, nearly Christmas, and I'm excited for Christmas, but I'm also excited for the Week 17 state of games because there's definitely some very good matchups in there.
It is, and it's an exciting kind of time of year for all NFL fans. We get to have games on Christmas Day, which wasn't always a thing back in the day. It was always the NBA that had that day locked in, but recently NFL's taken over and started to get some games in, and now it's become a tradition. And the Chiefs seem to have taken over that sort of role of being the Christmas Day team. And yeah, it's exciting times now. I have that issue every year. Less so this year because there's now really only one game on Boxing Day, so sports can be less sort of an issue trying to watch sport around Christmas time. But Christmas Day is still an issue. 6 p.m. on a Christmas Day. I mean, I don't know what we're doing on that time in our household, but how does this sort of work in your household, Holly, in terms of when it gets to 6 p.m. on Christmas Day? How are you planning it? How are you trying to work around watching the NFL?
I'm not going to be able to watch 6 o'clock game because I'm always up in near Manchester for Christmas, so I'm leaving tomorrow morning. And I stay with my granddad, but luckily my mum's side of the family and my dad's side of the family live so close that I'm able to see them both on Christmas Day. So I always spend the morning and afternoon and eat with my granddad, and then usually about 5 or 6 o'clock I go round to it'll be my auntie's house this year on my dad's side, where I get to see my dad and his side of the family. And I think I'll probably get back to my granddad's about 9:30, 10 in time for the second game. So I'll definitely catch up on the 6 o'clock game, but I won't be able to watch that one live.
That's fair.
As you can see, I've got these big bags around my eyes because I was up till 4:30 a.m. last night watching the Niners.
Well, let's get on to that now. Actually, you mentioned the Niners. Obviously, that's towards the end of the week rather than the start of the week. But it was a win for the Niners, which all but rules out the Colts for the playoffs, which is an amazing development considering how they started the season, 7-2. But the Niners moved to 11-4, and we'll get onto the reason why they've now got this chance to have the number one overall seed. But they have the chance now. It's in their fate to win the NFC West and have that number one overall seed. I mean, I talked in the off season, and I kind of was quick to defend the Niners, saying that if you had everyone healthy, if you kept McCaffrey, Purdy, and Kittle, healthy, and injuries are not a thing, then Niners, I think, are definitely a team to look out for. The team still got injuries. Nick Bosa being the main headline one, amongst many other great players that got injured this season. But the team have managed to rally around this, and they've still managed to win games. And it's for me personally, and I'll get your thoughts on it. I mean, should Kyle Shanahan be coach of the year? Because the job he's done with all the injuries they've had and what is being the best division this year, you've got, all 3 teams in that division are on plus 11 wins, and there's just, it's an incredible division. And the fact that he's managed to, if they go on and win that division, the fact he's gone out and done that, won a division despite the injuries, despite all the problems last year, is he a coach of the year for you?
I definitely think Kyle should be in the running. Obviously, Vrabel's done a great job at the Patriots, and I think Ben Johnson's done a great job at Chicago. But I do think Kyle Shanahan should definitely be in the running. And I actually need to eat some humble pie because on the 49ers preview, I said that I didn't think Robert Saleh was going to do that well with the defense. And I think I hold my hands up and was totally wrong. And I think he should also be in the running for assistant coach of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of. He's always gone back to what he was before. I mean, we all saw what he did with the Niners initially when he was the DC many moons ago, and obviously got the job with the Jets. As a result of that defense, he managed to create, and the half the players are still there from before, so he knew the players well. But fair play to him. I mean, there's fair play to his team overall because it is already one of those well-run organisations. But I think the way the season's gone, I think for me deserves massive credit. And the win last night was pretty good. I mean, it was, I say, more than pretty good. It was pretty dominant. I mean, it started off quite even, but I think over time, the Niners ran away with it. And
in the second half, we definitely stepped up, especially in our defense. And I mean, Purdy being the first 49er quarterback since Joe Montana to throw 5 touchdowns in the game. 1995 Super Bowl was the last time that happened for a Niner. And we got our first pick 6 of the season, D. Winters running it back for 75 yards to ice the game with about 4 minutes to go, just after a Purdy pick. And it's a simple equation now, especially with the Super Bowl being in Levi. 5 home wins, and it's a Lombardi.
Yeah, it would be the third team in history to host a Super Bowl that they play in, which would be amazing considering it hadn't happened before 2020. For me, I think for them, I think I got the same thing with the Bills that if they had to go far in the playoffs, well, both their kryptonites aren't going to be there. The Chiefs have lost twice the 49ers have lost twice to the Chiefs in Super Bowls, and the Bills have lost many playoff games to the Chiefs as well. So, it's their best time to do it. If they're going to try and win a Super Bowl, what better year to do it when the team that has always beaten you in the big moments isn't there? And I think this is a year open for anyone to win it. I think there's not really, for me personally, a clear favourite. I would have said the Rams until that Seahawks game on the other day. We'll get onto that shortly. But the AFC, I see no favourites. I see holes in the Broncos, who I'm still saying will win the AFC. I see holes in the Patriots. I see holes in the Bills. I see holes in all the teams in the NFL. The one I see the least holes in is probably the Rams, but even them they lost the other day. So it's a really open. I think it's been one of the best seasons. It's been so open.
The further the 49ers go, the more chance there is, because there's a very small chance that Fred Warner could be back for the conference championship or even the Super Bowl. So the further we go into the playoffs, the more likely it is that Fred Warner, the cornerstone of the Niners defense, comes back.
I mean, that would be a real game changer. I mean, there was talk about it last season with Aiden Hutchinson. If the Lions made the Super Bowl, he might have been ready for that game. Obviously, they didn't get the chance to test that out. But if the Niners can have not only what is basically home advantage for the Super Bowl and have Warner back for that game as well, or even the game before, what better chance that is for them to win it? I feel like I still, and I think Purdy, and I've talked about a lot in his defense about in big moments he got it done. I mean, you think about the NFC Championship game against the Lions. He orchestrated a big comeback win there.
That was a hell of a game.
It was so good. I mean, my worst thing, I bloody fell asleep and found out the result, and I forgot to record the game on my Skybox. But the game before that, the Packers, same thing happened. There was a comeback win there as well.
Yeah, but before that, Purdy had never had a comeback win. And then he did it twice in 2 weeks in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Purdy is massively overhated, and I think in a big moment again, prime time. I know it's against a team that's been struggling, but to throw 5 touchdowns in that game, takes a lot of credit. A lot of credit to him. Guy's been injured a lot this year. There was talk at one point when Mac Jones was flying. Is Mac Jones, should he be the guy to carry on? And there was a lot of talk about the Tom Brady situation. Do you stick with the hot hand? And then they brought Purdy back in, and he looks right now like he's playing some of his best football of his career. He's been really impressive. So,
Purdy's only lost, I think, 1 game this season, And that was early in the season in the Jags where we rushed him back and he wasn't ready, and you could tell. And I think he threw 3 or 4 interceptions and fumbled it at least once, and he just wasn't ready. But apart from that, I think he's 6-1 now this season.
Wow. I mean, in that game, I believe it was against the Panthers, where he seemed to throw pick after pick, but still managed to.
That was three picks, I think, in the first quarter.
Yeah, that was insane. But the Colts obviously beat them. This has been an insane free-fall. I mean, Germany game, they played the Falcons. It all seemed like everything was right in the world. I think they went either 7-2 or 8-2 after that win in Berlin.
Yeah, they went up to 8-2, and at that point had 98% chance of making the playoffs.
Is that what it was?
98% chance.
I remember thinking this could be the earliest sealed champion of the division. I thought the Colts were going to steamroll to it. Jonathan Taylor was the MVP, one of the favourites, if not their favourite to win it. And then teams found a way to stop him. I mean, I know this isn't everything, but I'm looking at his fancy points from the season. He had week 6, 23, week 7, 34, week 8, 37.40, week 10, 49.60, but then week 12 after the bye week, 8.60, week 13, 15.10, 11.40, 13.10, and 16.90. So just a matter of a few weeks, the teams have found a way to stop the Colts, and there's no coincidence that his stats have gone down, his yards have gone down. I mean, he's had no triple-figure yard game since that Berlin game, 58 and 85, 74, 87, and 46. So he's the teams are stopping the Colts, and I think what we're seeing is now the teams have clearly worked out the Colts. If you stop Jonathan Taylor, you stop the Colts. And Daniel Jones was struggling towards the end before his injury. Rivers had his moments in the Niners game, but let's face it, he's not been enough to help them win games. So
for me, watching Rivers, he looked to struggle throwing the ball. Anything over 15 yards looked to struggle for him. And I mean, I hope Rivers plays next game, because Troy Aikman said he wasn't sure if Rivers was going to play next game. And for me, I don't think Rivers' last pass in the NFL should be a pick 6, and I hope it's not. But he definitely looked to tire in the second half, in my opinion.
Well, the things you do to get your family an extra 5 years of medical insurance, right?
I mean, he definitely needs it with the big family he's got.
That's the thing. I don't think that's half the reason he's done it. I think that the love of football is the main thing, but I kind of thinking if you're telling me a week before his insurance runs out, allegedly, he signed up to play for the Colts. I can't thinking that this is something where he's gone, right, I'll play for 4 games, I'll have 5 years extra medical insurance, and that's the family sorted. So, for me, for 4 games, I can see why he's done it.
But here's my big question for you. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
No, I think he's a Hall of Very Good.
Interesting. I think he will make it in the Hall of Fame eventually, but maybe when there's a down year.
Yeah, he's definitely not first ballot by no means at all. I mean, he's had a good career, but he's had one conference championship game. I don't think he's broken. I think a couple of records here and there, but I just think that for me, I would have, I think on paper, like a Joe Namath and Eli Manning, not anywhere near as good quarterbacks as Rivers, but I think I'd have them in because they've had moments. You think about the Eli Manning, the 2 Super Bowls and all that kind of stuff, and then Joe Namath was, I believe, the first quarterback in history to have 4,000 yards in a season. The famous game with the Colts in Super Bowl 3. But I can't think he's had a good career, but I don't think I'm thinking of anything he's done that's going to go down in history. There's been no moment in the playoffs. There's been no, he's part of a team that had the most yards on offense, the number 1 defense, and didn't make the playoffs. He's been very good, but I don't think personally that he has done enough personally to be in the Hall of Fame. I think that there's been a lot of players who've been very good, but I think to be in the Hall of Fame, I think requires a different thing altogether. And for me personally, I would not have him in the Hall of Fame personally. I mean,
I do see your argument because he's never actually made a Super Bowl, so it's hard to say that he's a Hall of Famer having never played in the biggest game.
Yeah, and Dan Marino's not won one, but he has made one, but also he has won MVP. He has broken this record and that record and that record. And, I think the Hall of Fame, is half as much about moments than it is actual players' ability. You walk around it and there's like different sections on. There's this guy's gloves from this moment, like the Jefferson catch with the gloves from there were on there, and there was all these different moments that have happened over time. And it is, you walk through it, you're walking through history. You are walking through players' careers, but I kind of feel like it's a place meant to, you look back on with fondness, look back at these memories. When you see these players talked about in the Hall of Fame, you see their best moments. But I just can't think of any moment of Philip Rivers. The first thing I think about his career is his trash talking and him having 14 kids or whatever it is. I don't think about he won on this game in that week of that season. Whereas you think about Joe Montana, you think about the catch, Tom Brady, the 28-3 comeback. You think about who else?
Even Dan Marino, I think of the fake snap, the fake spike, Eli Manning, the helmet catch.
And this is the thing. There's no moments of Phil Rivers' career that I look back on and remember. I know he's a bit young for me, but I think personally he's had a very good career, but I just don't think it's been personally a Hall of Fame career in my eyes. Do let me know, those listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, do put a comment on the podcast. Let me know what you think, whether you think he is a Hall of Famer, and let me know whether you agree with me or Ollie. Well, we mentioned the Rams Seahawks earlier, and that's what has helped the Niners have the path in their own hands. And this is because the Seahawks did win a crazy game, one of the best I've seen all season long in a 38
incredible game.
It's one of the best I've seen. I mean, had one of the craziest 2-point conversions I've ever seen. But in the end, it was a win for the Seahawks. And this is when, they were, I think, 2 touchdowns down. They got back with the second touchdown, and then they went for 2, which I personally, I'm always the kind of guy who thinks just go for the point, take it to overtime, or take the point, level the game in regular time. But they went for it, fair play to them, and they got it.
Going for it in overtime, knowing if you lose, the game is done, is crazy. I was there, kick the one. I mean, a tie would have been even better for San Francisco. So I was like, let's kick the one and let's have a tie. But, the Seahawks won. I still maintain the fact that Charbonnet picked up that 2-point conversion because he thought the play was over and was just the closest one to the ball. I don't think he thought that ball was live. But yeah, definitely game of the season. Stafford, 457 yards. I think he's probably got MVP sewn up now. Darnold played well. Smith and Jigba, who had no catches in the first half, end up with, I think, over 100 yards and a touchdown. I needed those fancy points, definitely, in the Super Bowl. But yeah, it was a hell of a game. Because I currently don't have a job, I stayed up to watch it, and I don't think I got to sleep because I was so adrenaline was just rushing in. I don't even support either of the teams. It was more of a hate watch for me, but I was still enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to praise Darnold a lot for this game because I think there was a point in the game where he was really struggling. They were even talking about it on the coverage about the Rams being his kryptonite, and I kind of felt like at one point he was almost, I think, getting overwhelmed. I felt like he was, and then out of nowhere he just, I mean, the kick return just completely changed things, and and I feel like Donald got his confidence back with deep, and I feel like Donald was a different player after that. And I think what Donald has been missing, I think, for me personally in his career, has been these big moments where he's gone out and dug a team out of trouble, and I felt like that's not, even with the Vikings, I never really felt confident in him if they were going behind. I think we saw that in the last 2 games of his Vikings career. But I think this game could be his career already has turned around. But I think this moment in particular, I think will turn that narrative around of, Donald can't get done in a big moment. And I think for a guy that, everyone I've seen talk about him has talked about him being such a great guy. I think a guy like him deserves something like this. And it was all round, from Sam Darnold, I think a really impressive performance and a really impressive late on. Because if you can do it the first 3 quarters, great. But if you can't get done when it really matters in the 4th quarter or in overtime, then you aren't going to win many playoff games or Super Bowls. But I think Donald, for me, has proved that if the Seahawks are to get far, I'd have some confidence in him to get it done in those moments in the playoffs, which they are now officially in after that result.
Well, I mean, you talk about Hall of Fame moments. that could be one of Darnold's. But yeah, I mean, after all of the results of this weekend, there's now 5 teams have clinched in both conferences. Seed 4 and Seed 6 and Seed 7 is still up for grabs in both. So it'll be interesting to see that. And there are definitely some games coming up this weekend that could shake up the order a bit.
Absolutely. And we will get on to our predictions later on in the episode in our Week 17 preview as well. But other games that happened on Saturday night, 10 p.m. for those in the UK, the Eagles did beat the Commanders by 29-18. And on Sunday, the Bengals thrashed the Dolphins 45-21. The Panthers beat the Bucks in a huge game in the NFC South by 23-20. They still play each other in Week 18. The Bills beat the Browns in a game a lot closer than they ever would have thought it'd been, 23-20. The Chargers beat the Cowboys to all but seal their place in the playoffs. They won by 34-17. The Saints beat the Jets 29-6. The Vikings beat the Giants 16-13. The Titans beat the Chiefs 26-9. The Falcons beat the Cardinals 26-19. The Jaguars got a huge win against the Broncos 34-20. Steelers beat the Lions 29-24. And the Texans beat the Raiders 23-21 before Sunday Night Football. The Patriots beat the Ravens from a huge comeback win by 28-24. Before we get on to the Packers-Bears game on Saturday night, which of those Sunday games for you, Ollie, caught your eye the most?
It was definitely the Steelers versus the Lions. I had my eye on this game from the start because if the Lions lost, then the 49ers clinched a playoff berth before they even played this week. So I was watching it, and the last 2 minutes, it was another absolutely crazy ending. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Yeah, well, my thing was, I'm getting older now, and I know I'm only 30. I'm not that old, but I'm finding it really hard to stay up past 10 p.m. on a Sunday, especially if I've been busy all day, which I was busy all day that day. So I fell asleep, I think, around about 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock, and I woke up, and I kind of woke up, Medford had finished, I went to bed, and I then sort of rewound it to where I last watched it, and then I woke up again to basically the Steelers winning that game in the end. So I missed the ending. I missed that whole debacle, the DK Metcalf punch, the thing with St. Brown at the end. I missed all of that because I stupidly fell asleep. So I kind of didn't really get to see his game as much as others because of my lack of being able to stay awake.
Yeah, but I mean, St. Brown scoring 2 touchdowns, well, 1 touchdown, that being come back for OPI. A couple of plays later, he gets to the 1, laterals it to Jared Goff, who scores a touchdown as time expires, and then that's called back for OPI, and the Steelers somehow come out with the win. I mean, this seemed to be the weekend for crazy endings in the game.
I think generally it was one of the best weekends of the season, if not one of the best weekends of the last couple of years, because you think about Rams, Seahawks, Bears, Packers, which I absolutely loved watching. You think about sort of the way the Ravens Patriots game went with that, how the fumbles and the comeback. You think about Jacksonville getting what I thought was a shock win over the Broncos.
Yes.
This game between the Steelers and the Lions, and then you had Buccaneers, Panthers, which went down to the end. So I think this was a weekend for me. I found was just really, really exciting, and I thought it was fair play to the Steelers. I mean, a team that once again are going to most likely make the playoffs with a winning record again, which again Mike Tomlin finds way to defy the odds. He really does.
Yeah, if Steelers win one of their last 2, they make the playoffs, and they've got the Browns this weekend.
I mean, the Browns would love nothing more than to steal the party. Probably not as much as maybe a Ravens. Maybe they would want the Ravens to not make it. Maybe they would be happy to lose if it meant the Steelers beat the Ravens to the playoffs. But yeah, it was just crazy. And Mike Tomlin, I think, I don't think they'll go far in the playoffs. I think that kind of is where the line is for him. The ceiling is.
Yeah.
On this kind of year where anything is possible, one last go for Rodgers. The way they're playing right now, you never know. They could shock everyone and make the Super Bowl. I would like it as a Rodgers fan, but I don't see a way to do it. I personally, I think that Texans defense, that Broncos defense, that Bills offense would be too strong for the Steelers personally.
But obviously, with DK Metcalf suspended 2 games, they're not going to have him back until the playoffs now.
And I still a nice little bye week for him.
Maybe that's why he did it. Fancy some time off around Christmas.
I mean, I thought he's getting like something like his guarantees are now being voided because of the suspension,
Yeah.
and he's losing the last 2 weeks of pay. So I kind of think it's an expensive bye week for him. If that is why he's done it,
So something crazy like 45 million voided.
crazy, absolutely insane. The Packers Bears. This is one that definitely caught my eye on Saturday.
Another hell of a game.
It was just, and I actually watched this megally behind time because it was on a. I was at my family for the weekend. We have our sort of my friends and I have like an annual Christmas meal together. But Sunday morning, I recorded it. I thought I'll watch it in the morning, and then I didn't realise. I went downstairs, and what was my mum doing? With my girlfriend, watching the Streaky Come Dancing final that they recorded. So I had to wait until about 12 o'clock to watch this game. Not knowing the result, I managed to keep my phone out of bounds, and then lunch was ready back in the third quarter. So I had to then wait until after lunch was ready to then watch. So this game, I didn't finish it until about 4:04 in the afternoon on Sunday, which is a real delayed, time to have to wait. But what a wait! What a wait it was! Really worth the wait. This game had everything. I thought, this is my favourite fixture of the year: Packers Bears in Soldier Field. The history behind that game, and it was really a game that had so much meaning behind it. And I felt like what I loved seeing was, I think Malik Willis, first of all, give him huge credit. I mean, the way he managed to, perform when he's backup, he's not played all year, pretty much. Caleb Williams as well. I mean, the way he performed, the kind of moves he was making, pirouetting around defenders in the pocket, making plays off the scramble, and then there was other players as well that I'd love to see. I mean, I don't think defense had many great performances, but then there was also that amazing catch, and I forget who was for the Bears. The catch he made at right to level the game in regular time.
Was it DJ Moore?
No, he got the winning touchdown in overtime.
Yeah.
But then he was a guy that even Tom Brady hadn't heard of. He said on their thing, I think he won them a 20, but he made this catch that was literally
Jade Walker.
That's the one. Thank you. He had this slow-mo catch, and it was amazing footage you'll ever see. It's just incredible. And I thought this game overall was such meaning behind it. And I think we talk about moments. Something like Caleb Williams. I mean, he's had I think the most comebacks for quarterback at his age for anyone in NFL history. And I think for him, you talk about playoff moments again and big moments. That moment there, I think proves to a lot of people that the Bears, when they get to a big moment, they are going to at least have a chance of winning this game, and they're not going to crumble under pressure. So, yeah, really good game. I thought the passing was excellent in this game for most of it. I thought Williams, he was poor for a lot of it. Like Darnold, then he just turned it on and found a way to get it done.
But I mean, this Bears team under Ben Johnson is a very different beast to the one last year under Eberflus. And Caleb Williams is a very different quarterback. And a lot of people laughed at me when I said that the Bears were going to win the division. And I believe in this, in the Niners, I said that the Niners versus Bears could be a preview for the NFC Championship game. And it's looking like it could be. It's looking like it could be. It could be first seed versus second seed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the Bucs making it personally. But the Bears.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Niners versus the Bears, which is why I said.
I could have sworn you said Bucs against Bears.
That is what I predicted. But when we were going through the Niners games, we got to this one, and I said this could be a preview for the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I mean,
I also think the Panthers are going to make it over the Bucs, but I did predict that as my final one. But I did say that I thought that the game Week 17 could be a preview.
I mean, yeah, it could easily happen. It could easily happen. I would love it. Two teams on obviously win a Super Bowl since I've been watching games properly. Yeah, for me, it will be amazing. And the Bears, I think it would be, as a team I've always had a soft spot for. It'd be amazing. But I think as well, two historic teams. I think that would make a really good championship game. Yeah. But we'll head to a break, and when we come back, we're going to go through our Week 17 preview. See you then. And now we are back for the second part of the episode, which is going to be our Week 17 preview. Of course, we had our Week 16 preview, a double header in terms of two guests. We had both Cam McFarlane and Jarlath Eaton from the T20 Blast podcast who came on the show as Cam's Eagles took on Jarlath's Commanders. And in the end, let's find out the result of Andy versus the guest. Well, in Andy versus the guest in Week 16, I ended up beating both Cam and Jarlath in this game. So I had 13 correct scores. I only got the games between the Jags and the Broncos, the games between the Lions and the Steelers, and there was one more which I can't find on here, which was the it might even be 14 I got. I thought I had 3 wrong, but it looks like I've only got 2 wrong according to the predictions. But either way, Cam only got 8 and Jarlath got 9. So in the end, that means with 1 game left of the season, only 2 weeks left of the season to predict, it's currently 7-6 to me in Andy versus the guest. So
well, sounds like I've got an important week then to get the guest level.
Because if you win, it means we'll take Andy versus the guest to the final week. But if I win this week, then that means the series is done for Andy versus the guest, and I am the inaugural Andy versus the guest winner. So how are you feeling, Oli? Are you feeling confident of getting that win in Andy versus the guest?
Well, on my podcast, the Third and Long podcast, we only do 4 games per week, and I'm not doing too well in that at the moment. I'm currently 6 behind the leader, who is the other Oli. So hopefully I can do better with predicting all of the games, and we'll see how I do. My fantasy teams are all going well. I'm in 2 Super Bowls, so we'll see. Hopefully I can get the guest 7-7 to give you a grand slam finish for Week 18.
Well, here we go. Starting off on Christmas Day, we've got going off in Washington as the Commanders take on the Cowboys. Oli, who wins it for you?
Well, with Marcus Mariota out injured and Josh Johnson likely starting for the Washington Commanders, I think I've got to go for the away team in this one.
Yeah, same. I think even if Mariota was playing, I would probably still back the Cowboys. Next up is the Lions taking on Minnesota away from home at US Bank Stadium. And I'm going to go for a win for the Lions. I don't know who's going to be quarterback. I know McCarthy went out the game last time out. I think the Lions, they almost beat the Steelers, and I think, even though their playoffs are pretty much against the odds right now, I back them to win this game. I think I can see the Vikings being on upset alert. I could see them, but if it's Max Brosmer playing in this game, I think personally they'll have no chance of winning. So give me the Lions. Oli, Lions or Vikings?
I couldn't agree with you more. I can't see if Max Brosmer does start, I can't see him winning. I'm not fully fit JJ McCarthy. I think would also struggle against this Lions team, and also the Lions just need it more. They need to scrap and claw for their slight chance of still making the postseason. So the Lions, in my opinion, will just have too much for the Vikings, even at US Bank.
Fair enough. Well, the last game of the Christmas Day slate is technically Boxing Day for us in the UK at 1 a.m. in the morning as the Chiefs host the Broncos. Oli, who wins this for you?
I'm taking the Broncos. The Chiefs, Gardner Minshew out, Patrick Mahomes out. I don't even know who's going to start for them at quarterback at this point. Travis Kelce, I think, has checked out of his NFL career. I think he's done at the end of the season. And the Broncos I think they have the joint best record in the NFL at 12-3. I know they lost last week, and they'll be looking to bounce back against the Chiefs team that are already on the beach in their minds, in my opinion. So I think the Broncos will just beat them, and I don't think it will be that close. Chiefs lost to the Titans last week.
Say no more. Say no more. I've gone for Broncos as well. I think even if Mahomes is playing, I maybe still back the Broncos because I feel like they are playing that well this year. But yeah, against whoever's going to be a quarterback, I think it's definitely a win for the Broncos. Moving on to the next game, which is on Saturday at 9:30 p.m. on the 27th of December, as the Texans travel to SoFi and take on the Chargers. I'm going to go for the Texans to win this game. I'm going purely by who I think the best defense is, and I think that the best defense is the Texans. Ollie, do you agree?
I actually disagree with you on this one.
Ooh, okay.
This is a really tough game to call. This is a real 50-50 game. But I'm a big fan of Justin Herbert. I'm a big fan of Lad McConkey, and I'm a big fan of the coach, Jim Harbaugh. And I think that he will have some schemes there that will not necessarily show up the Texans defense, but I think the Chargers might be able to just squeak out a win in this thriller, which could keep the Colts alive for just one more week. But I do think the Texans will make the playoffs.
That is interesting. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
And also a decent time for us in the UK. Now, I'm probably going to be having plans on that day with family and all that. But even so, I'll find a way to watch it. I think it's going to be
I'm doing a Christmas party, a Christmas meetup with my friends on the day. I'm like, yeah, it's ending at 9:30 because it's at my mum's. So at 9:30, I am watching the NFL.
Yeah, that is totally fair. Moving on to the Sunday slate, and involves my team first of all at 6 p.m. as my Dolphins host the Buccaneers in a South Florida clash. I'm going for Buccaneers. I don't like how they're playing right now, but I don't like how we're playing more. I think what I saw against Bengals was a good quarter and a half, but I don't have enough faith in this team to get done, and I think the Buccaneers, with something still to fight for, I can see them getting back to winning ways in this one, and I think the Buccaneers will win. Ollie, do you agree?
I do agree. Tampa still have just about life in them. If they win this game and then beat the Panthers, I think they make the playoffs. I'm not sure what the divisional records are in that division, but yeah, it's definitely a matchup where I think the Buccaneers will just have a bit too much for your Dolphins. But look on the bright side, at least you've seen them win this season.
Yeah, I mean that's something that will be for a season that hasn't ended in anything really successful on the field. I can say I've seen the Dolphins win, and I can say hopefully in a few weeks no more Tua. But that's another debate for another day.
Yes.
Ravens Packers is our next one at Lambeau Field. Ollie, who wins it for you?
The Ravens. Lamar Jackson is questionable. I think even with Lamar, I'd fancy the Packers at Lambeau. But if Lamar isn't playing, then I definitely think the Packers win this one.
Yeah, I agree. I've got Packers as well. I think Ravens are just fighting any way to lose games this season, and it just feels like it's one of those seasons where the way they're losing games, it's one of those where it's not meant to be. It just has a feeling about it where they keep finding his ways to lose games, and it feels like it's meant to be that they're not going to make the playoffs. Next up is involving Seattle as the Seahawks travel to Carolina in what is a much bigger game than I think anyone expected maybe at the start of the year at Carolina. I'm going to go for a win for the Seahawks. I like what Panthers are doing, but I just think the Seahawks are a far more complete team overall. It's in Carolina, but both teams got something to fight for, and I think we'll see Sam Darnold putting one up against his former team.
I'm taking Carolina in this one.
Oh, okay.
Carolina have been scary good at home. That game against the Rams a couple of weeks ago, it was very, 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 very good. Bryce Young is playing very well. Ted McMillan, they've got the 1-2 punch in Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. I think their offense is scary, and I think they could definitely be one to watch in the playoffs. And I think they actually beat the Seahawks, blowing the NFC West even more open. That's Carolina. I don't know what Dave Canales is doing in Carolina, but whatever he's doing, it's working.
Yeah, it's been such a great resurgence. I still don't know about Bryce Young. I still don't know whether he is the guy, but I think fair play to them. They've done really well. But let's face it, they've still only got 7 wins. I still think they're doing well, but I think that's mainly because of a free falling Buccaneers team. I do think that you put them up against any team that finishes what will be the you'd imagine that the 5th seed they'll play against in the playoffs, if they win this division, I wouldn't back them against anyone right now in that 3. Whether it's the Packers, whether it's the Rams, whether it's the Seahawks, I just wouldn't back them in a big playoff game. At home, you make a good point. At home, they're better, but I don't know personally. The 2 teams next that have been struggling all year. The Bengals host the Cardinals. Ollie, who wins this for you?
I'm gonna take the best quarterback in this matchup and just go Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. I mean, I don't think the Cardinals are anything to worry about for any team apart from maybe the Raiders. I think this could be Kyler's last. No, Kyler's not even playing, is he? I think Kyler's done. I think Jonathan Gannon's done as coach, and I think the Cardinals need a big rebuild, starting with a new coach, new quarterback, and potentially even a new GM. I don't think the Cardinals will do much in this game. The only good player they really have is Trey McBride at the moment. Marvin Harrison Jr. is underwhelming. Buda Baker's getting a bit old, so I take Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and this exciting Bengals offense to win. And I don't think it'll be that close.
I got Bengals as well. I don't have much faith in the Cardinals to do anything this season, apart from beat themselves. Next up is a game involving the Cleveland Browns as they host the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I'm going to go for the upset. I'm going to go for a Browns win. Now, this is maybe the first time all year I've picked the Browns to win a game. I think we saw how close they run the Bills on the most recent game on Sunday, and I just think that I was feeling inside me that they're gonna upset the apple cart. They're gonna take this AFC North battle to Week 18 for the Ravens and Steelers. Now, I do think the Ravens, going on to their game, I do think I've already mentioned them. I don't think they're going to win their game, but I think this would be a way to keep the AFC North going. And I just feel like the Steelers are, playing well, but I just think right now, I think the Browns could chop them. I really do. Ollie, do you agree? Or do you?
No, I think Pittsburgh are going to punch their ticket to the postseason this weekend, beating the Browns. Okay. Keep Mike Tomlin's winning streak alive, get into the playoffs. As you said, I agree with you. They're probably not going to go past the wildcard round, but I do think this weekend they'll be much too strong for a Browns team. I'm in the minority on my podcast saying that I'm not sure Shadur's the real deal, but he's not won a game yet, and I don't see that changing.
Did he win one against someone? I feel like he maybe beat someone.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not sure he's won a game.
Fair enough. Well, moving on to Jacksonville as they take on the Colts in Indianapolis. Again, that would have been way more exciting about a month ago. And I think it's going to be a Jags win. I think we're seeing Lawrence playing some of his best stuff right now. Liam Cohen has completely galvanized this Jags team. And I think whether it's receiving core, whether it's a running back, whether it's their defense, they're going to give the Colts problems all day long. So give me the Jags over the Colts. Ollie, Jags or Colts?
The Jacksonville were inconsistent earlier this season. I mean, in London, they were pretty poor against the Rams. But in the second half of the season, Trevor Lawrence got a lot more consistent. Jacoby Myers was an inspired trade for them. I'm taking the Jags.
Yeah, I think he's been really good, and obviously he has now earned himself a 3-year extension at the team. Next up is in New Jersey as the Jets take on the Patriots, and once again, a very easy one to predict. I'm going to go for the Patriots to win this one. Ollie, same as you?
Yeah, Patriots still chasing number 1 seed. Jets are, the Jets. So yeah, Patriots win.
Well, next up is a game involving the Titans and the Saints in Nashville. Ollie, who wins this for you?
I'm going to take the Saints. I feel like Tyler Shuff is playing okay. Chris Olave to back up one game with another great game. Taysom Hill, of course, last week became the first man to get 100 passing, 100 receiving, and 100 rushing yards. And of course, the Irish kicker Charlie Smith has just signed a new 3-year deal with the team. So I'll take the Saints to beat the Titans.
Same as me. I've gone for Saints winning as well. Tyler Shuck looks pretty good, I must admit. Next up is in Las Vegas as the Raiders host the New York Giants. Ollie, who wins this for you?
You know what? The Raiders looked okay last week against the Texans. So I'm going to take the Raiders. They looked they pushed the Texans close last week against a good defense. Ashton Genty looked like the man we thought the Raiders had drafted. So I'll take the Raiders to win at home against a hapless Giants team.
You know, I was concerned that I was going to be called crazy by going for the Raiders to win. I've got the Raiders winning as well. I kind of felt, am I going a bit crazy saying the Raiders? But no, I sound like I'm not. It's yeah, I think it's a contrasting performance. I think what I saw from the Giants against the Vikings was not good at all. And I think the Raiders put on a good show against what is one of the best, if not the best defense in the entire NFL in the Texans. So
I mean,
yeah, and also they're at home as well. They are at home,
Yeah.
so that also
Giants
gives me
only had 33 passing yards last weekend.
That's horrendous. That's absolutely awful. That is awful. Our penultimate game is going to be, our third to last game is going to be involving the Buffalo Bills against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly's last ever game at Highmark Stadium. I'm going to go for the Bills to win. I think the Eagles did well to win last week, but I think at home with the Bills' momentum right now with that offense, I think if it was in Philly, I'd back the Eagles. I think I'm going purely for home advantage. Give me the Bills over the Eagles.
I think the Eagles have benefited with a very, very easy division this year. I don't think they're that good. I think there's a good chance they will be one and done in the playoffs. I'm definitely taking the Bills to win this game, especially at Highmark Stadium.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Now, next up, involving your team in what is a game that I'm really excited for, a game that we talked about earlier, which could be the NFC Championship preview as the 49ers, your 49ers, take on the Chicago Bears at Levi Stadium. Ollie, as your team, I'll let you go first. Who wins this game for you?
Yeah, there's no way I'm not predicting the 49ers to win this.
Fair.
I'm sorry, but I will back my team to the hill. I am definitely taking the 49ers to win this. But I mean, look at our offense. Purdy, 5 touchdowns. McCaffrey, over 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Jennings, Kittle, the injury to Kittle doesn't look too bad. Pearsall should be back. Our defense our very young defense is improving every game. And although I think it could be a track meet and an absolute shootout, I do think Niners will win this.
Yeah, I've got Niners as well. I just think, again, it goes down home advantage. I think even if it was in Soldier Field, I'd back them to win more in Soldier Field at Niners than I'd back the Bears to win in Levi Stadium. I just feel like this Niners team, the way they're playing and they have been playing, they'll find ways to win, regardless of how they're, whether they got injuries, whether they got this or that. Kittle, has been playing really well, and I'm hoping his injury isn't as bad as it is, because it's always to do this in my fantasy league. I've got him in both leagues. I'm in the finals in. So, yeah, hoping he plays for that reason. But also, I think the way McCaffrey's playing right now is like half of like watching him against a couple of years ago. I don't think it's quite like it was, but it's still really, really good. Purdy's been playing some of his best football. The defense have made plays. We saw what happened with the pick six against Rivers last night. All round, just a really, really good performance and a really good coaching job from Shanahan. And I think against the Bears team, I think there's still learning curves for them. I think it was by all means not perfect against Packers. They're still a team that were down by loads in the fourth quarter, a team that had to go to overtime. So but on a shorter week, you never know.
Yeah, it is another 2 days rest.
Yeah, that is the thing.
The thing that really interests me is it's 2 of the best offensive mind coaches against each other, with Ben Johnson versus Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, Ben Johnson's done some really good stuff this year, and I think he's proved with how the lines have been since he's been gone of how good a coach he is.
Yeah.
Our final game involves one of your division rivals, Ollie, as the Rams take on the Falcons at SoFi Stadium. At Atlanta on Sunday. I'm going for the Rams win. I think the Falcons have these moments. They've beaten the Bills this year. They've had these moments where they beaten teams they shouldn't have, and they lost teams they should have beaten. But I think against Rams, I think the Rams will be hurting from that loss. They'll be eager to make an impression. They've got a few days extra rest on the Falcons. And I think this time of year, where it's a crunch game for them, nothing really on it for the Falcons, which could mean they could be a trap game for that reason. But I don't think it will be. I'm going to go for the Rams to win.
I am contemplating predicting Atlanta, but I think that is just wishful thinking. Matthew Stafford, I think, is just too good for this Atlanta defense at the moment. So I think I've got to take the Rams to win this one, as much as I'd love it if Atlanta do shock us all. So yeah, I'll definitely take the Rams.
Well, there we are. That is the end of the episode. We've done our Week 16 preview and our Week 17 review. So Ollie, first of all, thank you for coming on so close to Christmas as well.
Well, thank you for having me, Andy. I'm always a pleasure. I'm always happy to jump on the podcast whenever you need me to.
Well, don't forget, if you like Ollie and what he says, head over to the Third and Long podcast where you can check out his weekly shows on there with other friends of the show like Phil Perrins and Ollie Butler Henderson. And before we go, we have gone for 3 games with different outcomes. We've both gone for wins for the Cowboys, Broncos, Bucks, Packers, Bengals, Jags, Pats, Saints, Raiders, Bills, Niners and Rams, whereas in Texans against Chargers, Ollie has gone for the Chargers, I've gone for the Texans. In Panthers against Seahawks, I've gone for the Seahawks, Ollie's gone for the Panthers. And then in Browns against Steelers, Ollie has gone for the Steelers, and I have gone for the Browns. But that is our Week 16 and review and Week 17 preview, with your host, as ever today, Andy Davis, with our guest in Third and Longs, Oli Hope. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a great Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas all.